Who were the biggest winners and losers of the 2015 NBA Draft? We have the answers next. Hello and welcome to the Court Report right here on MaxPreps.com. I am Chris Stonebraker. This is Zachary Poff. And last night, the 2015 NBA Draft came and went.
Like that.
Number 1 overall pick, Karl Towns.
Everybody saw that coming.
Everyone saw it, but let's talk about some of the biggest winners and losers from the draft.
Yeah, and before we bring in our national basketball player, Jason Hickman, I just want to throw out my biggest winner from last night. And it was the Los Angeles Lakers because I feel like they got the best player in the draft that has the most star potential, and it's LA. Showtime. Who's going to bring you more showtime than D'Angelo Russell? So that was my big winner from last night's draft for them taking D. Russ instead of Jahlil Okafor. But for more on the winners and losers from the 2015 NBA Draft, let's go and bring in our main man, our national basketball editor, Jason Hickman. And Jason, we got to start with the #1 pick. What do you feel about KarlAnthony Towns heading out to Minnesota?
Timberwolves definitely made the right pick, Zach. KarlAnthony Towns is a guy that has a very diverse skill package offensively, can shoot, can score on the block, can knock down free throws. And I think when you compare him to Jahlil Okafor, the other big man that was talked about as a potential pick with the #1 spot, he brings more of a defensive presence in the middle of the paint. Perhaps even more importantly than all that, when you look at some of the other big guys that have been drafted high in recent years, like a Nerlens Noel or a Joel Embiid, no real injury history with KarlAnthony Towns. He's durable. He's going to be there for 75, 80 games a season for you. In terms of what kind of NBA player Towns could be down the road, certainly think he has all-star potential. Not sure we're ever talking about him as one of the top 5 players in the game or the top player in the game, but the great thing about him going to Minnesota, he doesn't have to do that. That's going to be Andrew Wiggins. And if those two guys can get on the same page and coexist, I think they have a chance to bring a lot of wins to Minnesota.
Minnesota, the best young group out there in the NBA. A lot of talent. Now, Jason, my question to you. Now, which team last night in the NBA draft did the most to improve their roster?
Well, I'll give you a couple, Chris, but let's stick with Minnesota at the top of that list. Not only did they get Towns, but then they packaged both of their second-round picks to Cleveland for Tyus Jones. NBA personnel certainly have more access and insight to these guys than I do, but I really think the league dropped the ball in its assessment of Tyus Jones. I think they got caught up in his size and perhaps his lack of ability on the defensive end and weren't paying enough attention to what he can do. And that's to lead a team, be a consummate point guard. And it's really shocking for me, to watch that draft last night and still see him on the board for Cleveland at number 24. I mean, in terms of observing these kids in the high school and the club ball circuit, as they came up through the ranks, Jones was really a kid that stood out to me as somebody who had something special, kind of that cliche hit factor, if you will. Just an absolute point guard prodigy, and I do think his game is going to translate to the NBA level. I think if a Towns, Andrew Wiggins, Tyus Jones triumvirate goes on to lead Minnesota to big things down the road, Cleveland's really going to be kicking themselves knowing that they had two of those guys and traded them away to the T-Wolves. I'll give you another team real quick. I like what the Pacers did. I think Miles Turner, there's a little bit of a boom or bust factor with him, but he's the most athletic guy over 6'10" in the draft. And then they got Joseph Young in the second round, Pac-12 player of the year out of Oregon. And I love him in the role of coming off the bench and being that change of pace guard or a guy that can give you a 20-point night off the bench here and there. So nice night for Larry Bird and the Pacers.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. I mean, Indy, a nice draft. You get a point guard that can score the rock in Joe Young, and Miles Turner, a guy that can run the floor with the best of the bigs. This kid's an absolute beast at blocking shots. Now, Jason, let's look at the other side of things, though. Who would love to do a draft do-over if they had a chance to do it?
I've got to go with the Celtics. A lot of momentum in Boston right now under Brad Stevens. Absolutely phenomenal coach. But they had 4 picks in this draft, and I have to think, if you're a Celtics fan right now, you're feeling a little bit underwhelmed with what they came away with. Not sure they came up with any difference makers. All of a sudden, you're hearing Marcus Smart coming up in trade rumors, and then they go with a point guard, Terry Rozier at number 17. I really think he's just a guy in the NBA. I mean, tough to question the wisdom of Brad Stevens and Danny Ainge, but draft night for the Celtics, a little bit of a head scratcher for me.
Well, thank you for your insight, Jason. We always like talking to you here on the Court Report, especially since you've been seeing these kids since high school, so you do have an insight that a lot of people don't have on these athletes. So thank you very much.
All right, Stoney.
Thank you, guys.
It's time to put you on the spot, though.
Okay.
Who was your biggest winner from last night's draft?
I got 2 big winners.
All right.
The biggest winner overall for me was the Miami Heat getting Justice Winslow at number 10. I think him dropping down to 10 and them talking about Luol Deng and then talking about the Dwayne Wade circumstances, both of them, I think that is a really big pickup for the Heat. And then the last one is, I really like what the Warriors did. With Kevon Looney going in at 30 to come in there, he could run. He adds a very good dynamic to the team. And I really like that 30th pick.
Especially with a guy like David Lee most likely gone now. They're going to need another big coming off the bench to kind of help out. So not bad. Those are 2 McDonald's All-Americans from the 2014 McDonald's game. And falling on Stoney's draft winners list right there, baby. I like it.
Well,
I like it. I just
you.
want to say this real quick. I love what Minnesota and the Lakers did, because Kevin Garnett and Kobe Bryant are going to be there for 1 more year. So it's going to be huge in modeling KarlAnthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell. It's going to be huge to have that veteran leader helping those 2 young guys out. So that'd be interesting to see how that year plays out for those 2
Veterans
guys.
are needed in the locker room, especially
Just ask
with
DeMarcus
the young
Cousins.
ones. Yes, they are. My name is Chris Stonebraker. This is Zack Poff. This was the Court Report, and keep on clicking on to MaxPreps.com, America's source for high school sports.